Brothers, I've brought a horror film. Today, we're discussing the latest American horror movie of 204, Countdown to Action. It was only after watching this film that I realized that monsters and ghosts aren't the scariest things, it's human nature that's truly terrifying. The story begins with Xiaomei lying in bed, unable to sleep. She turns to look at a toy boat beside her, deep in thought. Then she gets dressed and goes downstairs, taking a dagger from a drawer, leaving without even her phone. Xiaomei drives to the forest park, and after a long journey, she reaches the mountain top. By a large tree, she takes out a photo of her son, full of sorrow. It turns out that not long ago, due to the couple's negligence, their son fell off a cliff here and died. Unable to bear the pain of losing her child, Xiaomei decides to join him. Just as she's about to jump, a stranger suddenly appears, startling her. The man says not to mind him, he'll leave after sitting for a while. He then starts eating biscuits and asks Xiaomei about the monument by the tree. Xiaomei finds him too intrusive and replies curtly that she doesn't want to talk. The man introduces himself as Adi and asks for Xiaomei's name. Seeing Xiaomei ignoring him, Adi shares his own story, saying that during university, he had a beautiful car, but a week before graduation, he had an accident, and his girlfriend left him forever. Xiaomei, hearing Adi's story, feels sympathy as they both have lost their loved ones. She then lowers her guard and shares the incident of her child's accident. With Adi's comfort, Xiaomei's sadness eases significantly. Adi then bids farewell, and unexpectedly, Xiaomei follows him down the mountain. Eventually, they decide to walk together. After walking for a while, they reach the foot of the mountain. After parting, when Xiaomei is about to get in her car, she finds Adi's car parked too close, blocking her way. Instead of moving his car, Adi strangely takes out an umbrella. Before Xiaomei can react, Adi knocks her out with a stun gun. My goodness, what a sudden twist. Adi then skillfully ties Xiaomei up, placing her in the back seat, and drives deep into the mountains. After a long time, Xiaomei finally wakes up and immediately tries to use her smartwatch to call for help. Adi tells her not to bother, as all his previous victims were the same, and there's no signal in this remote forest. He then hands Xiaomei her son's favorite toy. Xiaomei remembers the dagger she brought and carefully takes it out, fearing the noise might alert Adi. She deliberately talks to Adi to distract him, and at the moment she cuts the rope, she stabs at Adi. During the struggle, although Xiaomei doesn't hit Adi, the car swerves and crashes into a tree. Xiaomei seizes the chance to get out and quickly cuts the rope on her feet. Before leaving, she doesn't forget to take her son's toy. Adi approaches and tells Xiaomei that he injected her with a muscle relaxant, which will paralyze her in 20 minutes. Xiaomei ignores Adi's nonsense and runs into the forest. After running a long distance, she thinks she's lost Adi, but then realizes her fingers aren't responding. She recalls moments with her son's uncle. Just as Xiaomei is lost in thought, Adi's voice interrupts her. To escape this maniac, Xiaomei continues running into the forest. However, she feels her fingers stiffening, so she sets a 20-minute countdown on her watch, hoping to escape Adi's pursuit before her body completely stiffens. But the drug's effect was quicker than he expected. Soon, he felt his legs losing strength, yet, Xiaomei chose to grit her teeth and persist. Seeing her move at a turtle's pace, Adi would soon catch up. Xiaomei had a quick idea and hid under a tree stump. Adi arrived above her, and if he glanced down, he'd spot her. Xiaomei's heart was pounding. Then, things got worse. She lay on an ant nest, and the ants felt threatened, crawling on her face. With Adi still nearby, Xiaomei endured the discomfort, not daring to move. Luckily, Adi left after a while, but an ant crawled into her nostril, and Xiaomei couldn't hold back a scream. Adi, not far away, heard her and discovered her. Xiaomei quickly used all her strength to crawl towards the river and fell in with a splash. Before Adi arrived, she floated away. Adi was furious as his prey slipped away. Xiaomei floated downstream, encountering many whirlpools, but her stiff body couldn't resist. After about 10 minutes, she was stopped by a fallen tree. Using all her strength, she climbed ashore. Her watch showed 1 minute left. She breathed heavily and crawled forward. When the watch's time ran out, her body was completely paralyzed by the drug. Her vision blurred, but she saw a figure. It was an old man living there. He found Xiaomei while cutting grass. He checked her, unable to move or speak, but through Xiaomei's moving eyes, he saw her mind was clear, just unable to move. After a simple exchange of glances, the old man took Xiaomei inside and was about to call for help. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. In the remote wilderness, the old man felt uneasy. Sensing danger, Xiaomei blinked rapidly. The old man seemed to understand and opened the door. It was Adi, who had followed them. Adi, like an actor, claimed he had a car accident and couldn't find his wife, describing Xiaomei clearly. The old man was cautious and said he'd help later, then closed the door. He took out his phone, but Addie appeared inside, saying he felt unwell while inspecting the house. Luckily, the old man had hidden Xiaomei. Seeing Addie's behavior, the old man warned him he'd call the police to find his wife, but first, he must leave. Addie, with many tricks, asked to use the phone. Avoiding leaving, the old man became firm, saying he could report an intruder. He dialed the police, and Addie, acting again, cried and played on emotions. Addie's performance was so convincing that the old man was moved and hung up. Addie explained his wife had mental issues, worsening recently. Today, during a drive, she wanted to leave him. They argued, and she sped off, causing a crash. When he awoke, she was gone. Unsure if she was lost or had a relapse, he expressed deep concern for his wife's safety. The old man asked after hearing, "What's your wife's name, Addie?" Addie accurately said Xiaomei's name. This guy lies without blushing, not knowing Xiaomei is under the sofa. Then Addie revealed a key piece of information that made the suspicious old man drop his guard. Addie said when his wife is unwell, she experiences anxiety neurosis, becoming stiff and unable to move or speak. Seeing the symptoms Addie described matched Xiaomei's exactly, the old man was about to tell Addie where Xiaomei was hiding when Addie's phone suddenly rang. Addie had just said he lost his phone, which made the old man suspicious again. He withheld the information and told Addie to search the forest again. With his acting experience, Addie saw through the old man, realizing he knew something. He then called out the old man's name, leaving him stunned, asking how Addie knew. Addie said he not only knew his name, he also knew the old man loved gardening. Then he asked where Xiaomei was hidden. To get rid of Addie, the old man lied, saying he hid Xiaomei in the back warehouse. Addie prepared to check, but before leaving, he pretended to take the old man's phone. The old man was furious, thinking, "Who do you think you are, acting all high and mighty? If it weren't for your protagonist aura, you'd be done for." Addie shakily got up, wondering what the old man ate to grow so strong. The old man then called the police. Addie, unwilling to give up, ran over but was beaten again by the old man until he was kicked to the ground. Seeing Addie had no chance to fight back, he somehow found a small knife and stabbed the old man's leg when he kicked again. With the old man injured, Addie finally gained the upper hand and quickly ended the old man's life. After calming down, Addie headed to the warehouse. He found out the old man had lied. If Addie had looked inside the house, he would have found Xiaomei's hiding place. Xiaomei, at that moment, closed her eyes in fear. Fortunately, Addie didn't find her, but the danger was that Addie brought petrol to set the cabin on fire to destroy evidence. Xiaomei was so nervous she wanted to knock on the floor to alert Addie, thinking she'd rather be caught than die in a burning cabin. However, the faint knocking didn't catch Addie's attention. Just as Addie was about to drive away in the old man's car, Xiaomei's survival instinct made her pull the blinds cord. In the nick of time, the sharp-eyed Addie noticed something wrong with the blind and found Xiaomei before the fire consumed everything. He then took Xiaomei to his cabin in the woods. On the way, Addie stopped at a petrol station to refuel. As Addie went inside to pay, Xiaomei thought of ways to signal for help, but her body was still stiff. Unable to speak, she tried to unbuckle her seatbelt. After much effort, she finally did it. The next step was to open the car door, but just reaching the car's edge left her exhausted. A little boy suddenly appeared outside the window. She wanted to call for help but couldn't speak. Coincidentally, the boy's parents came looking for him. At this moment, Addie finished paying and came out, shattering Xiaomei's hope for rescue again. Addie then drove to the site of their last car accident, intending to tow his car away. "Change out of your blood-stained clothes." Just then, a patrol car noticed them. The officer first saw Xiaomei's odd behavior and informed Addie that someone reported their pickup truck as suspicious. Plus, Addie's driving license had expired. While Addie was explaining to the officer, Xiaomei used all her strength to lower the window, finally catching the officer's attention. Xiaomei struggled to say, "Help." The sharp officer also noticed Addie's tools. For committing crimes, seeing his crimes exposed, Addie decided to kill the officer too. A few blows ended the officer's life. Then a big fire burned the crime scene, and they continued driving into the deep mountains. As the drug's effect wore off, Xiaomei could speak. She started playing the emotional card with Addie, saying she didn't know his real identity or where he lived. If he left her by the roadside, she promised not to call the police. At this point, Addie was clearly overwhelmed. The plan changed. He decided to silence Xiaomei forever in the lake, alongside his previous victims. Just then, Xiaomei seized the chance to inject Addie with drugs, but her body hadn't fully recovered, and she couldn't press the syringe. Xiao Mei was utterly desperate, waiting for doom. Addie took Xiao Mei onto a small boat, rowing to the lake's center. They soon reached the point of fate's judgment. Xiao Mei saw the weapon at Addie's waist. Her survival instinct told her not to sit idly by. This was her only chance to survive. She pleaded with Addie for one last thing, to take her son's toy boat from her pocket. After some thought, Addie agreed. As he approached Xiao Mei, she seized the moment to grab Addie's dagger and stabbed him. Furious, Addie prepared to retaliate with a gun. Xiao Mei shook the boat vigorously, tipping Addie into the water. As Addie tried to climb back onto the boat, Xiao Mei picked up the gun and fired at Addie, who fell back into the water after being shot. Before Xiao Mei could catch her breath, water started flooding into the boat's hold, and her hands and feet were tied. Gradually, Xiao Mei sank with the boat into the lake. Just when it seemed Xiao Mei was doomed, a miraculous scene unfolded. Driven by survival instinct, Xiao Mei finally crawled ashore. As she turned, she saw a bizarre sight. Addie had also survived and crawled ashore. Xiao Mei approached Addie. Even if she did nothing, Addie wouldn't last long. Ultimately, evil met its end, and Addie remained forever in his grave.